in one building. We have 1,000 buildings. Anyway, so we started bleeding cash. And the box office has gotten bigger, but it's not big enough yet. We are on a road to recovery, but the recovery is slow. So remember, the box office was $11.4 billion in 2019. It was $2.2 billion in 2020. The good news, in 2021, it more than doubled. It was $4.5 billion. But $4.5 billion is $11 billion. And in 2022, the year we just completed, the box office grew again by about 2/3, and it was $7.4 billion. 7.4 billion is a lot more than 4.5 billion, but it's a lot less than 11.4 billion. And so we're still going to bleed cash. If a company that's designed to be strong in an $11.5 billion industry is sitting in a $7.5 billion industry. So we have only one problem. And it's not market manipulation, and it's not synthetic shares, and it's not naked shorting, and it's not all the things that you're reading for. It's this: we need more movies. Because if we have more movies, we'll have more moviegoers. And if we have more moviegoers, we'll have more revenues. And if we have more revenues, we'll make a profit instead of a loss. It's that simple. And fortunately, it looks like finally we're going to get some movies in 2023. And that's why when I looked at that trailer package, I don't know, you were seeing like actors and special effects. I was seeing dollar signs all across those screens. And like I'm thinking, how many people are going to go see that Indiana Jones movie? Everybody. And I don't know how many people are going to go see the Michael Jordan movie called Hair. But everybody should. That's the best trailer I've seen in years. That movie is going to be phenomenal. Just phenomenal. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so encouraged. Because we're going to have movies again in 2023. Here's what happened. It started about a year ago. In December of 21, when the movie Spider-Man No Way Home came out from Sony. It was the 7th biggest, highest grossing movie of all time in the 110-year history of cinema. 7th biggest. It was followed a couple of months later by other movies that were big. Then came Memorial Day weekend. God bless Tom Cruise. I've seen Top Gun Maverick 5 times. Literally. And the 5th time was on an airplane going out to Los Angeles last week. It's much better on a big screen, by the way. Much. But it was still pretty good on an airplane screen. And the reason I watched it, I was going out to LA to attend a dinner where Tom Cruise was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award for his entire career. And I thought, you know, it would be poetic. If I'm going to the event where Tom Cruise is being feted for his incredible career with the biggest movie he's ever done in his career, Top Gun Maverick, I should watch Top Gun Maverick again. This is the 5th time. I knew every word, I knew every plot twist. I love the movie again. That movie grossed $1.5 billion in movie theaters. And what that taught Hollywood studios is you can make a lot of money if you release movies in movie theaters. $1.5 billion, that's a lot of money. And up until that point, every major studio except for Sony, well, and Lionsgate, not even Lionsgate because they've got stars. Every major studio was experimenting with their streaming service. Disney Plus, and HBO Max, and Peacock, and Paramount Plus, and one on Stars and Lionsgate. And the conventional wisdom at the end of 2021 and early in 22 was that and all you had to do was pick up a newspaper or magazine, but it's still in newspapers. You still actually see them on paper. They're in digital versions. And like all these 25-year-old journalists saying, what's a movie theater? Like that's an anachronism. Everybody wants to watch a movie on their phone and there's half of their own TV. No, they don't. You know why we know that? Because you all were imprisoned in your houses for like a year during COVID. And like, I bet you have a nice house. And you don't have a nice house, I bet you have a nice apartment. And I bet you want to get out of it, right? People have been going to movie theaters for more than 100 years. It's a big thing that people like to do. It's the second most popular out-of-home experience in the United States, second only to going out to eat at a restaurant. You know how big the movie theater industry is? In 2019, the year before the pandemic, movie theaters sold 1 billion tickets. You want to know how many tickets 1 billion tickets is? You got some real professional sports teams in this town. So let's start with the NFL. Take every team in the NFL, every game, all season long, the entire home attendance of every game in the NFL all season long. Add to that the entire attendance of every Major League Baseball team, every team, all season long, 162 game season. Every one of those games, every one of those cities, every one of those games all year long. Add to it the NBA, add to it the NHL, add to it Major League Soccer, add up all those tickets. In 2019, movie theaters sold 7 times the tickets of all the professional sports, every team, all season long, combined. It's a big deal, movie theaters. And Top Gun reminded the Hollywood studio executives that if they were just going to do screening, they were losing an enormous market. Movie theaters gross worldwide, not just in the US and Canada, but worldwide, movie theaters in 2019 grossed $43 billion. More than half of that goes to studios. So call it that studios take on that. It's called $25 million. You really think it's a smart idea to write a match at $25 billion? And guess what? The studios discovered theaters. So Top Gun Maverick is a huge hit. Right after that was Jurassic World Dominion and the Minions movie, and on and on and on. And take to every title. We have Black Panther, Wakanda, and November. But then comes Christmas, December 16th. God bless James Cameron. James Cameron gave us Avatar: The Way of Water, the sequel to the 2009 Avatar movie. A 13-year wait for the sequel to Avatar. Come on in, welcome. The Avatar was nominated for 11 Oscars. I think it won 7, I'm not sure exactly, 7 or 8. Won Best Picture in 2009. A sequel comes out in 2022. Guess what Avatar grossed? In 11 weeks, Avatar grossed almost $2.3 billion in movie theaters, only in movie theaters. And now every Hollywood studio is scrambling to release more movies in theaters. And this trailer package you just saw, you saw that there are a ton of good movies coming in 2023. And this is going to be a big year. I don't think we're going to get all the way back to 11.5 billion, but I think we'll cross 9 billion. I think we'll be way above 7.4 billion. And how far above 9 billion we go, I don't know. We'll all find out together. Depends on you. But last year, in 2022, there were 18 movies that were released that grossed $100 million more. We believe that in 2023, based on the titles that are coming and what similar movies do and have done, we think that there will be somewhere between 30 and 35 movies this year that gross more than $100 million. Things are really moving up. We are on a path to recovery. And I believe that our revenues will be bigger in 2022, and 2023 than 2022. I think our profits will be more significant in 23 than 2022. And for those of you who are hanging with us for the long haul, you can see recovery coming. And let me just demonstrate how things can change this year. The basic lifeblood of the company is its EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. That's the cash the company generates, and before interest payments. And even in 22, even with the box office something that's $7.4 billion, which is terrible, by the way, 35% below 2008. Our EBITDA was up compared to 2021 by $338 million in 1 year. $338 million rise in our profitability or our cash generation. That's the good news. The bad news is it went from negative $300 million to just our EBITDA was $46 million in 2022. This company cannot survive if its EBITDA was $46 million. But if our revenues are more, our industry-wide are $1.5 billion or more higher than it was in 2022, we're going to have some healthy EBITDA. Not enough, but healthy. You can see recovery coming. So that's the good news. Because for those of you who've been with us for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, January 21, Flight 801, whatever you came in. By the way, 801 was nothing. 3 weeks before 801, AMC stock was trading at $1.91 a share. 3 weeks earlier. $1.91. That's where I start to measure this. And some of you have lived with this for a very long time. What will determine whether we succeed or fail is whether this recovery really happens. And at the end of the day, how the company performs and is it profitable, that will dwarf all the other issues. If this company is $300 million EBITDA, or only making $40 million in EBITDA, those short sellers aren't going anywhere. But if this company goes from negative, I think it was 300 to 3 something, I can do the math. Maybe it was 295 or something. Anyway, let's call it negative 300. This company can go from negative 300 to positive 45 to positive 300 to 400 to positive 700 to 800 to more than that. If this company can do that, those short sellers are going to have to come. They're betting against the company succeeding. And the rest of the stuff that you hear on Twitter is just noise. And what you need to follow is what's our movie going attendance, what are our revenues, what are our EBITDA. As you know, we report publicly every 3 months. So you can see for yourselves how we're doing. I do think the years will be back-end loaded. I think the first quarter is a little tough. I think it's going to get bigger as the year goes on. Second quarter looks really good. Third quarter looks okay. Fourth quarter looks great. And I'm really optimistic that by 2024, possibly 2025, but hopefully 2024, which means next year, we'll go right back to the swing of things. And but that takes me to the most important message of the day. And that's how do you get from where we are to where we're going to be. Notice I didn't say where we want to be. I said where we are going to be, with recovery finally coming. And the answer is, you put a lot of cash in the bank so that you can ride out this horrible COVID storm. We are 3 full years after COVID hit in March of 26, and we're still down as an industry. We're still down 35% in our revenues. That's really tough. Let me tell you something, guys. All the profits in the last third of attendance. The first 2/3 just goes to cover your fixed costs. All the money you make in the last third, and we don't have the last third yet, but it's going to start to show up this year and next year and in 2025. So the way to survive is you raise a lot of money. And this is where you come in. Because I got to tell you something. And I say it from the heart. You guys saved AMC. It's that simple. Between September of 2020 and June 2021, we raised $2.2 billion by selling stock to the public. It's called equity. And we put that $2.2 billion in the bank, and we didn't do anything with it other than support our movie theater company, except I spent $28 million to buy a quarter of a gold mine. Which people think I'm nuts, but we're gonna make so much money from that investment in gold mine. So fundamentally, we will quadruple our investment in that gold mine. It's gonna take 2 to 4 years to do it. But I've said publicly, yield last best. And there's gonna be a lot of crow eating coming 2, 3, 4 years from now. And I'm not gonna be the one eating the damn crow. Let me tell you. But anyway, but other than that, by the way, when you have $2 million, 28 million, it's like 1%, right? That's a lot of gold, a lot of silver. But other than that $28 million, we put every penny into our movie theater business. And, let's not tell the truth, I put $1 million into like, creating home popcorn. And it's finally coming, by the way. And we just tweeted last week, this week.
Let's go.
I showed you the beautiful packaging, and I showed you like a little 7-Eleven recipe they're making microwave toasters. And on Tuesday, we announced that we're launching at 2,600 Walmart stores. Do you know what it's like to have a new product and get it to 2,600 Walmart stores? That is so huge. And the reason why Walmart is not doing a little, 100-store test or 200-store test, they know the brand, they know about you and your enthusiasm for our company, they saw our packaging, and they tasted our popcorn. And it's fabulous. And it's gonna sell like hotcakes. No, it's gonna sell like hot popcorn. It's gonna sell like crazy. And I know that because once you're up there in a grocery store, by the way, we gave Walmart a 6-month exclusive, but after Walmart's exclusive runs out, we'll take it to a lot of other supermarket chains around the country. Hopefully 7-Eleven will carry us. When our popcorn is put right next up against all others, like, do you know anything about popcorn? Do you know how much popcorn we sell? This company, on a big day, not every day, but on a big day, we sell 50 tons of popcorn in a day. And popcorn doesn't weigh anything. Do you know how hard it is to sell 50 tons of popcorn in a day, but it doesn't weigh anything? Anyway, it's another success. Not a big you guys, by the way. But other than the money we put into gold and silver lining and popcorn and all, the rest of that money went into our theaters. And we finished the year with $840 million of cash still sitting in our bank account. If we had raised the money that we raised, we didn't have $840 million of cash. We would have been toast. And you know how I can prove that? Because, well, we're the largest movie theater company in the world, the second largest movie theater company in the world. We're AMC in the US, Odeon in Europe. There's Cineworld in Europe and Regal in the United States. You've probably heard of Regal theaters. They filed for bankruptcy in early September of 2022. You know why? Because they ran out of cash. They had literally had like $4 or $5 million in cash. That's it. You can't run a big company on $4 or $5 million in cash. $4 or $5 million in cash lasts like an hour. And they're still, it's 6 months later, and they're still in bankruptcy court, still fighting between the company and creditors, and shutting theaters all over the place. The future is not bright for companies that file for Chapter 11, and they filed for Chapter 11 because they ran out of money. The same month that they ran out of money, with September, the quarter end, so we announced that we took a quarter, right? We announced that we had more than $900 million in cash in the same month that they ran out of cash. And I do not want to run out of cash, ever. That's why we raised the money last time. I don't want to run out of cash in 2023. And I don't even want to run down our cash. I don't want to enter 2024 on fumes. I wanted a lot of money in the bank. I'd love to have as much money in the bank at the beginning of 24 as we had at the beginning of 2023. And the only way we can do that is if we continue to sell stock in the market. Again, if you read Twitter, you keep on hearing about dilution. It's so wrong. Do you know when the first time we sold stock enough? The first time we did a little bit. The first time we sold a lot of stock was January 21. We diluted a lot. We raised $1 billion, I think. In the span of a week, we raised $1.3 billion of equity by selling within AMC shares. We diluted our stock by like 80%. What happened to our stock? It quintupled. At the same time, we diluted the shares. In May, we raised over $1 billion of equity in the month of May of 2021. At the same time that dilution was happening, you know what happened to our stock price? It went from 10 to 50. You know what happened in July of 21? We asked the shareholders to let us have more shares because we were out. And the shareholders were too split. There were still people talking about dilution. And so I pulled the shareholder vote. We were unable to get an affirmative vote, so we pulled the vote. We stopped dilution. You know what happened to our stock? It went from 50 to 10. You know what's going to happen when we issue more equity and more cash? I don't know. We're going to find out together. But past indicators suggest that if you do it right, you're strengthening the company and you make the company stronger. You blow the short thesis to hell. And that's what shorts have to do. So, in August of 2022, we created something called APES, Preferred Stock. And by the way, APE stands for, and it trades with your stock exchanges, you all know, and it's an APE. It stands for AMC Preferred Equity. That's all it stands for. Anything else is purely coincidental. Just pure coincidence. But guess what? So we created those apes in August, and we waited a month to start selling any, because we were afraid that if we started selling them right away, people would say, "Oh, we were selling equity, and that's why the share price moved whatever way it would move." We wanted to give it a full month so that it could find its level, whatever its level was. And exactly 1 month after we released the apes, we started selling them on September 22. Right about the same time, we announced third quarter earnings. And, you know, I already said 2022 is a rough year. We burned a lot of cash in 2022. Guess what the press was, and Cineworld Regal filed for Chapter 11. Guess what the press was filled with? AMC's next. AMC's going to file for banks. And guys, it cut our stock price in half. All the talk about AMC's going to file for banks. And it emboldened short sellers to continue to hold. Because the conventional wisdom was that AMC is in trouble. You know what our answer to that was? We sold a lot of apes. And we sold and raised over $300 million in cash between September and December of 2022. And we're going to do it again. And that's why we're going to make it. We're going to outlast the pandemic. Because we're going to guarantee that we have the resources to make it. And if we make it, and well, I should say if, when, right? I got it before you. I paused and you said, when we make it, that's when the short sellers that AMC is here for the long haul. Which takes us to the shoulder vote. There is one thing that went wrong when we created the A's. An A, an AMC preferred equity unit, is literally exactly the same thing as an AMC common share. It has the same economic rights, it has the same voting rights, it's the same thing. But from the first week, the A's were selling first in the market for less than the AMC common stock was selling. And it got so bad that by December, when we announced this March short and putting A's and common back together, and the fact that on TAR we would give a lot of cash in exchange for A's. The preferred equity unit was selling in the market for 1/7 the price of a common share. And I remember the only thing that we would sell were A's because we were out of common. And it just doesn't make any sense. You want to talk about dilution? When an eighth is worth what should be worth what a common share is worth, but we're getting 1/7 the price worth than if we were to sell a common share. That's like terrible. So we announced, as you know, that we were going to take it to a shareholder vote to put the A's and the AMC back together, one for one. And so if you told, we gave everybody A's back in August free. You gave them, if you had 10 shares, you got 10 A's, you got 100 shares, you got 100 A's, you got 1,000 shares, you got 1,000 A's. We gave it to you free. Some of you sold them, some of you held on to them. But our hope is that we can put them together, because when we do put them together, what's pretty clear is that the thing that we'll be able to sell to raise cash to survive and thrive will then be AMC common shares after we put the 8 and the AMC common back together. But we'll be doing it at a much higher price, or we should be doing it at a much higher price than we were just selling A's. So much so that when we announced this transaction to put the A's and the AMC back together, the 8 was selling at 1/7 the price of the common, and it was selling for 69 cents. And it like quadrupled in 6 weeks. The 8 went up and down, because people know that when you put the 8 and the common back together, the 8 is going to be more valuable. And the 8 is more valuable, and we're selling it into the public. We might be able to raise 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times as much money from the sale of 1/8, or what would then be a common share, than we would back when all we do selling. So we have asked you all to approve this. And I've gone to Twitter over and over and over again, saying it's important that you vote, and it's important that you vote in favor. Because it's the smartest thing you can do. It's the smartest